how can you maximize the value of your relationship with your attorney? And that's once you get the first draft of the doc done. Let's say your attorney drafts the purchase agreement. He sends it over to the seller for their response, and the seller is going to come back with their attorney and usually make some changes. Again, it goes without saying that you don't want to spend $1 to chase a nickel. Really look at the docs, identify what are the most important things to you, kind of monetize it, prioritize it. Where are the biggest buckets of risk? Where are there very little potential risks? And focus on the things that are really big and really important. Again, from being the intermediary in between accountants and attorneys for buyers and sellers, we often see where the contention gets in, and oftentimes it's around everybody digging in on stuff that really they shouldn't be digging in on. So we try to keep them focused on the big things. Where's their big risk, and where is their big potential for loss or gain? As you go through it, ask your attorney about the probability of winning some of the various asks that you have. I am aware of situations, in fact, Chris and I are working together with a client right now, and it's really important that the client comes out and they identify everything that they want, but in the nature of this kind of law, M&A law, there's really good history of what is probable that you will get and what is likely that you won't get. And you want to get good advice from your attorney to say, you know, what is the real probability that I'm going to get this kind of complete indemnification for X, Y, or Z, where there's going to be a standard practice or a standard range of what would be realistic. Again, think about the items that are really important. Identify that are items that are red herrings that you could advise your attorney that he can use them to negotiate facets of your transaction. Clearly communicating, again, the items that are most important to you. Understand that I don't think you can ever really fully have documents where there's no risk for either party. You're participating in a transaction. There is real potential risk, both foreseen or unforeseen, that can come up, and work on that. Work on that with a good dialogue with your attorney as to what are some of the things, as you see this document taking shape and coming together, where are real potential risks and where there are nominal potential risks. Again, we were on a call with a client recently, and they were really concerned about something. We went back over our history and we said, you know what, I've never seen that really pop up as a real risk for the transactions that we've worked on. So, you know, you probably shouldn't get really upset about certain facets of that. And then recognize that deals can still blow up. And so what I like to remind the buyer and the seller is it's really important as you go through this process, you're the guys that are going to own the business at the end of the day. Your relationship with that seller is going to be really critical and really important. Through this whole process, make sure you're having the weekly lunch with the seller to make sure that you're developing a relationship. As thorny or hairy issues come up, that you guys can come up with a resolution to yourself and give direction to your attorney so they're not going back and forth for an extended period of time on something that you guys can probably resolve together. Know that through this process, again, it could be a 75 to 120-day closing process from the time that you go under LOI to the time that you actually close, and things will happen. Again, I'm reminding you as a buyer, have a really good relationship with that seller so when those things do come up, if a big customer gets lost, if the buyer is a strategic buyer and some of their business falls off or the seller's business falls off, or deal fatigue is really starting to creep in, that you guys can focus on the good relationship that you've been developing to pull through some of those thorny times in the process. Stay steady, and remember, if you're the buyer, that in most cases, I think the seller is going to be more emotional. Okay, this is something that they own. It is their baby. Unless it's an institutional seller, private equity group seller, they're usually less inclined to be emotional. But for the family founder business, it is their baby. Understand that they can be emotional and help them cope with the transaction that they're having.